A household name, a symbol of delicious treats and convenient food. We're talking disturbing truths, unethical practices, and a potential impact you might not have considered. Is there something Nestlé isn't telling us? Hit that subscribe button and join me as we peel back the layers and expose the truth. 1. Water extraction. Nestlé's water extraction practices have come under scrutiny, particularly in regions where water scarcity is a pressing issue. The company's bottling operations involve extracting groundwater for bottling purposes, which has raised concerns about the depletion of local water sources and its potential impact on nearby communities and ecosystems. Critics argue that Nestlé's extensive water extraction exacerbates existing water shortages, particularly in areas where access to clean and safe drinking water is already limited. Additionally, there are concerns about the environmental consequences of Nestlé's water extraction, including impacts on aquatic habitats, biodiversity, and the overall hydrological balance of affected regions. 2. Baby formula marketing. Nestlé, along with other formula manufacturers, has faced criticism for its marketing practices surrounding baby formula, particularly in developing countries. Critics argue that Nestlé's aggressive marketing tactics promote formula feeding over breastfeeding, undermining public health efforts to promote breastfeeding, which is widely recognized as the optimal form of infant nutrition. Nestlé has been accused of targeting vulnerable populations, including mothers in low-income communities, with misleading or exaggerated claims about the benefits of formula feeding, while downplaying the risks associated with not breastfeeding. 3. Child labor. Nestlé has faced allegations of involvement in child labor within its supply chain, particularly in the cocoa industry. In regions where cocoa is produced, such as West Africa, there have been reports of children being involved in hazardous and exploitative work on cocoa farms. These children often endure long hours, dangerous conditions, and receive little to no pay. While Nestlé has stated its commitment to eradicating child labor from its supply chain and has implemented various initiatives to address the issue, critics argue that these efforts have been insufficient to fully tackle the systemic problem. 4. Palm oil sourcing. Nestlé, like many multinational corporations, sources palm oil as a key ingredient in various products, including food, cosmetics, and household goods. However, the production of palm oil has been linked to significant environmental and social issues, including deforestation, habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, and human rights abuses. Nestlé has faced criticism for its palm oil sourcing practices, particularly in regions like Indonesia and Malaysia, where large-scale palm oil plantations have led to widespread deforestation and the displacement of indigenous communities. Despite commitments to sustainability and responsible sourcing, Nestlé has faced challenges in ensuring that its palm oil supply chain is free from these negative impacts. Critics argue that the company's efforts to address deforestation and human rights violations have been insufficient, pointing to ongoing instances of environmental degradation and labor abuses within its palm oil supply chain. 5. Environmental impact. Nestlé's operations have a significant environmental impact across various stages of its supply chain, from sourcing raw materials to manufacturing and distribution. One notable concern is the company's contribution to deforestation, particularly in regions where commodities like palm oil, soy, and cocoa are produced. Deforestation not only leads to habitat loss and biodiversity decline, but also releases large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. Additionally, Nestlé's agricultural practices, such as intensive farming and the use of agrochemicals, can degrade soil quality, pollute waterways, and harm local ecosystems. Nestlé's environmental impact is its packaging and waste management practices. As a major producer of packaged food and beverages, Nestlé generates significant amounts of plastic waste, contributing to the global plastic pollution crisis. 6. Unhealthy products. Nestlé, like many other food and beverage companies, has faced criticism for producing and promoting unhealthy products that contribute to poor dietary habits and related health issues. Some of Nestlé's products, such as sugary beverages, processed foods, and snacks high in salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats, have been linked to rising rates of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other diet-related conditions. Critics argue that the company's marketing strategies often target vulnerable populations, including children and low-income communities, contributing to the prevalence of unhealthy eating habits and disparities in health outcomes. Despite efforts to introduce healthier options and reformulate existing products to reduce levels of sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, Nestlé continues to face scrutiny over its product portfolio. Critics argue that while these initiatives are steps in the right direction, they may not go far enough to address the underlying issues driving the consumption of unhealthy foods. 7. Marketing to children. Nestlé, like many other food and beverage companies, has faced criticism for its marketing practices targeting children. Critics argue that Nestlé's advertising campaigns often employ tactics that appeal directly to children, using colorful packaging, cartoon characters, and celebrity endorsements to promote products that are high in sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. These marketing strategies can influence children's food preferences, contribute to the consumption of unhealthy foods, and ultimately exacerbate childhood obesity and related health issues. There are concerns about the pervasive nature of Nestlé's marketing to children, which extends beyond traditional advertising channels to include sponsorship of children's events, product placements in movies and television shows, and partnerships with popular social media influencers. 8. Labor practices. Nestlé's labor practices have faced scrutiny, particularly within its global supply chain. Allegations of low wages, poor working conditions, and anti-union activities have been raised against the company. In some regions where Nestlé sources its raw materials, such as cocoa and palm oil, reports have surfaced of labor rights violations, including child labor and forced labor. Despite Nestlé's stated commitment to upholding labor standards and human rights, critics argue that the company has not done enough to address these systemic issues within its supply chain. Concerns have been raised about Nestlé's treatment of its own employees, including allegations of inadequate wages, precarious employment contracts, and limited opportunities for advancement. While Nestlé has implemented various initiatives aimed at improving working conditions and promoting employee well-being, such as workplace safety programs and employee benefits packages, critics argue that more needs to be done to ensure fair and equitable treatment of workers across all levels of the company. 9. Bottled water controversy. Nestlé's bottled water operations have been at the center of controversy due to concerns surrounding the commodification of a vital public resource, environmental impact, and social equity. Critics argue that the extraction of groundwater for bottling purposes contributes to the privatization of water resources, potentially depriving local communities of access to clean and affordable drinking water. In regions where Nestlé operates bottling plants, such as areas experiencing water scarcity, residents and environmental activists have raised objections to the company's extraction practices, highlighting the strain it places on already stressed water sources and ecosystems. Nestlé's bottled water operations have come under scrutiny for their environmental footprint, particularly in terms of plastic pollution and carbon emissions. The production, packaging, and transportation of bottled water requires significant amounts of energy and resources, contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and exacerbating climate change. 10. Corporate influence. Corporate influence, including that wielded by Nestlé, refers to the significant power and sway that large corporations hold over various aspects of society, including politics, economics, and public discourse. Nestlé, as one of the world's largest food and beverage companies, commands substantial economic resources and employs sophisticated lobbying and advocacy strategies to shape legislation, regulations, and public opinion in its favor. This influence can manifest in various ways, such as through campaign contributions, political donations, industry alliances, and public relations campaigns, allowing corporations like Nestlé to advance their interests and agenda on a global scale. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment below to share your thoughts and questions.